Welcome to the 10-Day Growth Hacking Challenge with your host, Nader Sabri. Today, we are here with Victoria, who runs MindTales, a really interesting app that is designed around helping people with mental health problems and bringing all the moving parts to help people to come together. Today, we're here on hack number 3. Before we get started, if you have any results to share with us from hack number 1 or 2, let us know, and then let's dig in to hack number 3. But before we do that, just as a quick reminder, we're using the growth thinking methodology for this challenge. If you like to do what we're doing here, this is your guide. Let's get started. Victoria, welcome aboard. Last hack, you excited?
Yeah, thanks, Nader. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
So yeah, I have great news. So even from the second hack, as you remember, we talked about like the email sequence. So now we got a few actually phone numbers from that. So that was a good.
Nice. Did your response rate go up? I remember within less than 72 hours, you had a 20% open rate and a 1 or 2% click rate, if I recall, correct?
Yeah, so we reached 24%.
Awesome.
But I think that was out of that, we received like actual like phone numbers. So this is good. So people actually trusting us and we're just following up with them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, giving numbers versus emails is a different story altogether. What was the click-through rate? How many people actually clicked? So 24% open. How many of them actually clicked?
So click-through rate was 15%.
Okay, that's high. That's high. So those are very two healthy rates compared to kind of industry average. Your industry, I'm not really sure, but against all averages, that's a very high. Have you done, like, I remember we talked about some optimizations in the email. Have you prepared your next email to create some of those optimizations or not yet?
Yeah. So that's why actually we incorporated that, and we'll have a new email scheduled on Wednesdays.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so keep me posted. I'm interested to see the numbers. Okay, awesome. So any other results on hack 1 or 2?
So I think that's all. So we really were happy to receive those. Those
awesome numbers. So success. Awesome. Okay, so let's dig into hack number 3. Remind us what hack number 3 is. Tell us what you've done, what the results behind it look like.
Yeah, so hack number 3 was to create a content calendar and leverage our network of therapists and ask them to provide content in relation of our theme. So this week we are focusing on anxiety, and already we asked one of the therapists to create a video talking about anxiety and the issue. So actually now we already posted on Instagram, and so far engagement was really great. So what we decided, we have 3 different therapists posting on different issues, and every week we will change the subject.
Awesome. So that's a really good thing. So what is happening here, guys, is when we were designing the hacks initially, we were looking at how to create consistency, right, Victoria? That's what we were trying to solve, is create consistency and being top of mind. And the number one asset Victoria has are the therapists who are part of her network, who are the experts who are grinding day to day, practicing, the art of helping people, and the science, of course, of getting people out of mental challenges, or mental health problems, I guess, collectively, and putting them in the front rather than putting in the back of the platform, I think is a super wise long-term strategy. Tapping into them and making them popularized as part of your brand is a super way of leveraging not just your platform, your product, and the therapist, but creating that consistency. And as we were talking earlier, creating the consistency formula, it needs a bit of testing. And I think what you're doing is you're going by therapist, then theme, rather than theme, then therapist. Is that correct?
So actually it's both. So this week we have about anxiety. We have 2 therapists talking about anxiety, and then 1 life coach. So I want to have on Thursday talking about in general how to achieve your goals, what's now currently what kind of burdens you have. And every week on Thursday have this, because here we have weekend on Friday. So I think people to have some kind of positive connotation.
Awesome. So I think it'll be a really wise idea to get, for example, the life coach, to get the life coach to watch what the other 2 people do from the therapist, and always have a way that your ecosystem within your therapy ecosystem are being oiled up. And the reason being is that you should challenge, for example, the life coach, say hey, listen, build on what the previous person is talking about and see if you can create some continuity. So if they're talking about anxiety, and anxiety gets in the way of people setting goals, which it does, she can pick up from where they last left off at on just a very small kind of cue. She doesn't have to be an expert in anxiety. She's like, in our last, and that you need to create a format for this that helps create that system. You can say, in our last call on Wednesday, we had expert XYZ. We talked about anxiety. And so building on that, anxiety gets in the way of goals. And here we are today. We're going to talk about goals. Whether you have anxiety or not, this is going to help you. But if you do have anxiety, this is kind of some of the challenges you might face, etc. Move on to the next. And so if you create this kind of continuity, like a series, which they kind of build on from each other, it's a great way to keep your audience engaged. And as you keep the recording, so you should always, of course, create a repository of all these videos, because you're going to reuse them and you're going to create stories out of them, right?
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, how we actually can reuse them in different channels as well, maybe slicing them up. So now we have around 3 minutes. Maybe we can have short snippets, sharing on the email, then uploading the whole on YouTube, and just thinking how else we can utilize.
Yeah, spreading it out. One of the ones, do not underestimate TikTok. So TikTok is becoming obviously much bigger. I have a few growth hackers that have been experimenting with TikTok ads. So just as for background information, they're giving some pretty aggressive credits. I don't know if they're still doing it. I don't know what the number is exactly, but in the industry, they're giving some pretty aggressive credits. And so it could be like a dollar to dollar match. You put in $500, they match it for another $500. So whenever you find a new platform where they're very aggressive when it comes to ad dollars, they're a really good place to advertise, because they're extremely potent for you to get traction. If you did this in the early days with YouTube and Google and Facebook, it would have been the same scenario. Today it's very different because it's a bit diluted. So take advantage of new platforms like TikTok. Definitely one of them. I'm not sure about Snapchat, but definitely give it a try. So you get out of these high advertising costs that you would traditionally pay in other places. I think also another place that may be underestimated is LinkedIn. Because if you were to speak the language of business, which is the language, of course, spoken on LinkedIn, there's a lot of stress problems, right? Like anxiety at work and, stress from your boss, and it just goes on and on. I know I'm giving you simple, stupid examples here, but I think the alignment of the context can be super powerful. In fact, I would also challenge you on one other thing. We had a contender who was building a unique outreach program as a growth hack using LinkedIn, and he recognized that using video as an outreach is way more powerful than text. So he would literally get his mobile phone and he would put it on a tripod in front of him, and he would actually reach out in a customized way per person. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to go by per person, but what I am telling you is that using video on the platform of LinkedIn goes a long way. The other growth hack that we've seen on LinkedIn, especially in the last few days, believe it or not, are polls. Okay, so polls get way more exposure than almost any other kind of posting item that you may put. So putting polls about, taking your diagnostic list and putting them as a poll. Hey, do you feel any of these? If you do, you may have anxiety. Comment below on maybe some other things you may fall. So you can start to really tap into some of these platforms, but by understanding their native mechanics, right? So like LinkedIn and TikTok. And with TikTok, the other thing that I would do is I would challenge you to go find other people who talk about the same topics that you're talking about and find a way to collaborate with them in a unique way. So if someone is out there already talking about depression and anxiety, get them onto your system. Find a way to collaborate with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks. So there we go. Awesome. So you're still going to you start this week, right? You start executing this week?
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. So we look forward to obviously seeing the results of that. And I'm sure there's going to be some good things coming out of it. You got to keep it consistent. For those, I mean, you probably hear the word consistency consistently on this program, because consistency and discipline are probably the two factors that contribute to success. They're not easy to sustain and they're not easy to obtain, but they're not impossible. There's different ways and different formulas to do that, but consistency always does work, and the discipline to do that will always get you there. What do you think, Victoria? Does it make sense? Yeah. Awesome. So anything else you want to share with us related to hack 3 or any of the other hacks before we move on?
Yeah, I think that's all from me. I'm just now looking forward, like seeing how to continue with them, like consistently, and seeing the results.
Consistently, yeah, and just keep it going. I mean, give yourself like a fair time frame before you even start to think of looking what is actually coming out of it. I know it's beautiful to send an email and get a 20% open rate in your first try, but ultimately it's really about the test of consistency, how long we can keep that rate up or going higher rather than going down. And that's what's going to force you to become a little bit more creative and using more dynamic growth hacks to continuously do that. So I really believe when your next email, when you shift the CTA to the top, like we talked about last time, I think that's going to create a dramatic impact on some of the results you see, and changing that CTA is also going to show you some different results. So there we go. There we go. Awesome. Okay. We'll see you in the final.